Hi everyone, hope you're all doing okay. Apologies that I didn't upload yesterday. I had a bit of a busy day, so I didn't get around to doing my junk journal yesterday. My sister came over and we did some crafts and stuff, so yeah, the day sort of ran away with me. So here I am cropping and resizing some images I'm going to use in today's spread, so day 8, and you'll see how I use those in a little while. I imported them with AirDrop onto my MacBook and I put them in a Word document, and I'm just, as I said, cropping and resizing them. I do leave a space between the images so I can have a white border. If I'm going to be overlaying images, I like a white border so I can sort of define each individual image. So I'm going to start by working on day 7. I'm just cutting some images out that I added. I'm going to make this spread about the Christmas lights, and I'm sorry if you can hear the dog scratching away in there. Normally I lock her in the kitchen, I've just realised I haven't, and he's having a right scratch. Mel! Pack it in. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to start working on day 7. My son and I had a sleepover in my bed and we watched some Christmas films, and I managed to get the Christmas lights up out the front of the house. Hurrah! I have been avoiding it, I'm not going to lie. So I thought I'd celebrate in this spread the fact that they're actually up. And these lights are a die set from Lawn Fawn, which I bought. You can buy some of the American brands from Seven Hills Crafts in the UK, so you'll still pay the same price, but you'll pay the UK postage. So these are ones I had floating about from the cards I made for friends and family last year. I'm just going to stick everything down because I'm happy with where it's placed. So I hope you've all had a good weekend. As I said earlier, my sister came over yesterday and we did some crafting. She's not done stamping and die cutting before and embossing and what have you, so I introduced her to that. And that's actually how I came across these lights, this die set. So yeah, we had a little bit of fun with that. You can see just at the top of the screen there that red Christmas with the white embossed Christmas. I was showing her how to do the embossing, and I just did the word Christmas, and it's the bottom of an envelope, so I'm going to use that as a little tuck spot. This is my snippets box, so all the bits and pieces that are like this little bit that I've just torn off, I don't discard, I chuck it in this box, and I use these bits for, like I'm doing here. You'll see in just a moment, I'm going to layer those up just to add a bit of interest to the bottom of that page. And I ink the edges just to define each piece so they don't just get lost in each other, otherwise it can look a bit flat, I think. And it's just to add a little bit of colour. And when I inked this mat, I could see where all the glue had dried and stuck onto it, so I was just trying to rub some of it off. So I'm going to glue it on here, you can see. I'm just layering them up just to add, as I say, a bit of interest. So I like how this is coming together, and I whipped out my box here. I've got some Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, and I remembered that I had an icicle one in here, so I'm just fishing it out, and there it is. And I thought that was quite fitting, so I'm just going to stick that on because it's sort of, it complements the icicle lights that we have out the front of the house now. I'm just using whatever's left on that little spongy dabber just to ink the edges, so it ties it in with the colouring of the page. There we go. Yeah. And here's that little tuck spot that I said. I'm just using a bit of Fabri-Tac on my finger, some that are just plumed out the bottle, just to make that into a little pocket and round in the corners. And I'm just going to stick that on for those photos to tuck into. I've mentioned it in a previous video, I like to back my photos, so if I've got photos that are just going to be floating, so they're not stuck down, I like to back them onto something. And I've used some Christmas Carol book paper, and I've used a little bit more of this music paper that I used in the spread just to back them. And then, I mean, it doesn't really matter, you don't have to do that obviously, I just like to put something onto the images. And you can see there, look. I've got glue on the front. I think I get glue on the front of most of my photos as I end up covered in it, and then I touch the images, and yeah. This Merry and Bright is something that my sister and I did yesterday, and I'd planned to use it on this spread because we did it on that day, but it just didn't really fit in anywhere, so I didn't use it. I might use it later on in the spreads. And I'm just going to add my journaling here, and I had a bit of pen trouble. I don't know if it's because I had, as you go on your journal and you've stuck things in on previous pages, it can make it quite difficult then to write directly onto the page. So I think that was the trouble that I was having there. The pocket over on the right there with that tab in, that holly one, I'm leaving blank on purpose, and I'm going to come back to that later. So on this spread I've drawn out the Christmas tree because I had this in mind from the start, what I was going to do. So I had it all drawn out, so I need to erase the pencil marks. There's a Reese's. I sent my daughter to the shop to get bread and milk, and she came out with Reese's as well. Happy days. So yeah, here I am rubbing out the pencil marks because I now know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a picture of Melv, the dog, and the tree at the very bottom as the tree stump, and then this one of the star, the children holding the star, right at the very top. And then I'll just kind of have a play around with the images until I'm happy. I don't know why I did this because I didn't even follow what I did. I just kind of, I think it was just more a visual. So you can see here I've laid them all out, it works, so now it's just a case of sticking them all on. And this was a very long-winded process, oh my god. This is a very long-winded process, and yeah, it was very stressful by the end. I'm glad it's done. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, but I am glad it's done. Just because it was just so difficult, because you've got to layer them in a specific way, in the respect of, like, obviously you've got some images that are going to be behind other images, and you've got to make sure that when you're overlapping, you're not cutting any of like the important part of the image off. Do you know what I mean? Like someone's face. So that was rather stressful. And I have a moment in a minute where a couple of the images that are in the middle, I liked the way they overlapped, so I tried to stick those down. Well, just yet. Here, these two. Yeah, I tried to stick these down together, and I think I do it too high, and then I go in and realise I need to work from the bottom up, really, so I have to take them off and start again and blah blah. Anyway, I left all of this in specifically because I had a comment on a previous video, and I'm sorry I can't remember who the comment was by, but you said that you wanted to see as much of the process as possible. So that's what I've tried to do without it droning on and just becoming really boring. So I've left this in to show you that the struggle is real, and with a little bit of perseverance you can achieve what you want to achieve. I say perseverance, I really mean swearing and frustration. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit more, and you see in just a moment that I basically peel everything off and I start again working from the bottom up, just to, well, it just makes more sense really, doesn't it? But obviously I wasn't thinking of that to start with. And yeah, it comes together really nicely anyway in the end, and that's all that matters. So this is another die set that I've got from Seven Hills Crafts by Paper Smooches, and it's a bunch of stars. And I'm going to cut out all the stars just between these two bits of gold cardstock, and I'm going to use one of them actually in my spread. I don't use all of them. I think I'll layer them out. That's what I'm thinking here, that I'll layer them around my tree to give it some more dimension, but I don't actually end up using them all. So it'd be nice to hear about some of your traditions, especially those of you in different parts of the world, just to find out what you do at Christmas time. We have a bit of a, I don't know if it's a tradition, maybe more of a ritual. We kind of do the same thing year after year because it works for us, whereby we all just kind of get together and do our parts. And I'll probably explain more about that when it comes to the lead up to Christmas. Obviously I'll be journaling about it so I can explain it to you as I'm doing the journaling. So keep the comments coming, guys. I like reading your comments. I like responding to you. Even if I can't put a full response, I will at least like your comment just to acknowledge that you've put it there. I like the fact that YouTube is very interactive, and there aren't many craft groups and things around my area, and I think they're not the ones that I have found are not the kinds of crafts that I like to do. So it's nice to kind of interact with you guys who are like-minded and into the same things as I am. It's one of the reasons I took to YouTube in the first place. I mean, some of you may well be nearby to where I am, so that would be interesting. It would be nice to do like a junk journalers get together here in the UK, when there might even be one. I don't even know about one. If there is one, please let me know. I will be there. Anyway, you can see at the top here I'm using the smaller outline of the star to outline the star that I have at the top of my tree here. I don't know what I was doing there off camera. But I'm just going to pop that there just to give it some dimension, because I think this page, even though it's very full, it looks quite flat. It just needs a little something. I'm laying the stars out, but I don't love how it looks, so I don't go with that. I like it, but I don't go with it. I had a different idea in the end, so again, I just thought I'd leave this part in because it shows the process. I think a lot of people plan their spreads and they do a great job and they must put a lot of effort into the pre-planning. I don't do any of that. It just happens. It comes together as it comes together. I had the idea of maybe putting them in the middle as like little ornaments on the tree, but some of them were too big. I couldn't bother to cut any more, and yeah, so I just scrapped the idea of the stars in the end. So, stars be gone. I've scrapped that idea and I'm going to put these stars back into the packaging, and I will use those at another time. And in they go. I might sound a bit different now, apologies. I've had to move to my crafting space, which randomly I don't actually craft in at the minute because my sister's doing it with me. There's not enough room in here for us both to sit up here. Anyway, yeah, the laptop was about to die, so I've had to come up and plug it in. This is the tag from the Christmas tree that we picked up today, and at this very moment I learned that the tinsel that I have is made up of 3 smaller strands and it's tied together at the top here, so I'm going to use one of the smaller strands, one of the individual strands, to just thread through the hole that's on the tag. Just make it Christmassy. There we go. So I'm going to have this as the front. And I found this quite interesting to keep things like this, because in years to come, you look at the price of something. If you think back 100 years ago, what something would have cost then, you think, really? I wish it cost that much now, that little now. So I think that'll be interesting to look at in the future. So I've also decided to add some of this thinner strand of tinsel to the very bottom of the tree, just to give it, again, a further bit of dimension, and I'm going to stick that on with some Fabri-Tac. I'm nearly at the bottom of this Fabri-Tac, there's hardly any left. If I will not be beaten by it, I will use it, and I am, here we go, using the tinsel just to add a bit of pizzazz at the bottom there. Can't be true, that tinsel. I'm not sure I've already said in this video, I've done this voiceover about 20 times now. But let me know if you like this version of, or this style of videos, whether you like the sort of like the music in the background and me talking, or if you want me to talk live, maybe I can do that. Sometimes it's not always the easiest because I'll be doing it with my sister sitting across the table, so we're just chatting away. Yeah, so let me know how you prefer it. If you want me to talk all the way through, or if you want me to shut up every now and then, just shout at me and let me know. This tag is the present tag that was sitting in that little tuck spot. I didn't actually use this in the end, and you'll see me change it up in a little minute, but again I left it in to show you that, you know, even if you do something, if you don't love it, don't keep it. I've stuck things in my journal and I've taken them out because when I come to use a spread they just don't work. So you're not stuck with anything. That's the beauty of junk journaling, I think. I will use it for something, but just not for this. So here I am thinking that I'm finished with this spread, and then I remember that I had this tucked onto the side and I wanted to use it because it's a Christmas tree, so obviously it needs to go in this spread. And this is a printable, linen printable by Johanna, and this is where I kind of think actually it'll be better in there, so I'm going to not copy word for word, but I'm going to write again what I wanted to write for today. So I'm just doing a little bit of journaling about getting the tree, and I feel like we're really late getting our tree this year. I earmarked it for this weekend because we get a real tree. I like to get it a little bit closer to Christmas because I don't want it to droop and look all sorry for itself come Christmas Day. So yeah, that's why I earmarked this weekend. But it seems that every single person in the UK, every other person, got their tree last weekend. And I just feel like this whole week I've been itching to just get the tree up. So I'm really chuffed that it's now done. We had a bit of a stressful start to the day, but I'm really pleased that it's now done. Yeah, and this spread's come together nicely, and it's a bit of a sigh of relief. I'm going to add this tree on using the dregs of the Fabric yet again. My sister gave me this tree. We had two of them. I stuck one in previously, and I'm going to add this one today because it just has to go in today. It's a Christmas tree. Yeah, and I'm just going to add it in that bottom left corner on the right hand page. I'm also still thinking that the left hand side needs something else, needs some more dimension. And yes, that is the empty Reese's packet on the upper left there. It did not take me long to devour those. I didn't go with this bow in the end. I decided instead to add one of these words because I noticed it as I was putting some bits away, and it says don't get your tinsel in a tangle, and I thought that worked perfectly with this Christmas tree. A little bit of tinsel on it. And then I decided, actually, what else does a tree need if not baubles? So I fished out these little red shiny dots, and I'm adding those on to sort of imitate baubles. I keep singing along to the music, and apologies now if at any point I've hit record and you've caught the tail end of me singing. Anyway, this is my little pocket, my little sort of pouch thing that I made just to hold all the bits together that I want to use in my journal, and I've taken out this little snippet piece. In hindsight it probably should have been a bit bigger, but I stuck it here anyway. And this brings this spread to a close. So I hope you like it. I like it. I hope you like it too. I look forward to chatting with you again tomorrow. I'm going to show you a quick little overview of how this has come together so you can see it. There we go. So this here is that, and that is that, and that goes there, and that goes there, and that's that done. Speak to you tomorrow, guys.